Hello beautiful people, it's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be checking this video and it's titled Prince Harry and Meghan Torn Apart in Scathing Rant Over Hypocritical Trip to Colombia over UK. Interesting, we're going to be checking this video together. Let's check it out.
Prince Harry is missing his own uncle's funeral in the UK because of security concerns. Instead, he's taking his wife to the cocaine-fueled gang warfare, murder and kidnap hotspot of Colombia. Shall we remind ourselves of what Harry said about Britain?
It's still dangerous, and all it takes is one lone actor, one person who reads this stuff to act on what they have read, and whether it's a knife or acid, whatever it is, and these are things that are a genuine concern for me. It's one of the reasons why I won't bring my wife back to this country.
Colombia has the third highest homicide rate in South America, and they're going to visit the Vice President, who has to commute to work in a Black Hawk helicopter after receiving bomb threats. Do Harry and Meghan not realise that they are being used as useful idiots to polish the tarnished reputation of despotic regimes? That's their job now, it seems, to do PR work for despots. They went to Nigeria, one of the world's corruption capitals, so Meghan could, quote, reconnect with her roots. And now they're off to Colombia to, quote, illuminate the country's role as a beacon of culture and innovation. Well, I should probably just point out at this stage that the government faces numerous scandals, including the president's son, who stands accused of money laundering from drug cartels and funneling that money into his own father's campaign. Apparently, Harry and Meghan will visit a town in Colombia founded by runaway slaves that has become a symbol of anti-colonial resistance. Now, presumably, they're hoping that that will be symbolic of their own journey in some way. But unfortunately,
Because their trip exactly is not making sense. It did not make sense to me. Or is it trip or tour or visit? I'm confused of which one. It did not make sense to me. It's not even making sense. Even till today. Their visit to Nigeria or trip or tour. Anyone, just impute it there. It's still confusing because, yeah, it's not lie. It did not lie. For any other Nigerian that wants to take it the hard way or take it the sad way, yeah, Nigeria is corrupt. That corrupt part, it did not lie. And I am even wondering why many Nigerians are angry with that corrupt part. But let's talk about Colombia. For me, I don't know nothing about Colombia. I can speak for Nigeria because I know Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. But that Colombia part, yeah, I don't know nothing about Colombia. I don't know the things that are going on. Yeah, we understand the other things that are happening in Colombia. But again, they are worried about the safety in UK. UK is his home. Colombia is not. So which would they prioritize safety over? Let's look at it. Let's think about it. Okay, let's even talk about it. Say, okay, things that are happening in America and UK now. But look at UK. It still is home. It can run from wherever it wants to run away to. But the UK is still his home. And still the place. It would have the best safety or security ever over anywhere. Regardless of how I want to look at it. Judging for this news, because me, I don't always follow what mainstream media publish and say, oh, this is what it is about a country or say stuff and that. Yeah, because sometimes the mainstream media, they would fit something to be their narrative. Even if, let's just say it happens just once or one time, then you hear them to paint the entire country to be the exact same when it's not supposed to be so or when it's not so. But again, talking about safety, which would he pick over? Is it not your hometown? Except maybe they are chasing you, but obviously they're not even chasing him out of the UK. Nobody is chasing him out of the UK. His family did not completely chase him out, or did they? Did they? Did they tell him not to ever return to the UK? Let me know what you think.
Fortunately for Meghan, she might find that she has more in common with Colombia's Vice President, who has been described as the biggest fraud, she's done nothing, only play the victim and travel around in helicopters. Their chief of staff has also just quit now after 3 months. Harry and Meghan have reportedly lost at least 18 staff since they married in 2018, with 9 or more having left since they moved to California in 2020. Some of the others that they've parted company with reportedly include the manager of Archwell, their producer, and their head of audio. So that's their chief of staff, the person presumably managing a lot of their charity work, the people looking after their video content, and the person looking after their audio content. I mean, I imagine their private chef feels as though every meal could be his last. Meghan has also failed to find a chief executive for her new cooking and lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, despite having interviewed several candidates.
The fact that nobody wants to work with them, people who work with them are leaving. What do you think? What do you think? Because, I mean, regardless of the number you represent on here, think about the numbers or others that were not mentioned. Think about it. Just think about it for a moment. Because obviously it will be great. It will be in their CV as to be like, oh, you've worked with high profile celebrities or used to be members of the royal family or used to be member, or let's say you work with a prince, it will be in their CV. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with a prince in their to be in their portfolio, to be in their CV? For better opportunities, higher job pays. Who wouldn't? But the fact that people are running away from this duo speaks so much volume, and you know the truth.
I can't help but wonder if there's a common denominator here. One of Prince William's friends said Harry should apologise to the Colombians while he's there for using cocaine in his youth, because Colombia is a country that's been destroyed by narco-terrorists servicing wealthy drug users in the West, and he should stand up and apologise for his own participation in that disgusting trade. I mean, you put all of that together, and I think you have to wonder, don't you, are Harry and Meghan massive hypocrites? Let's get our thoughts on my panel. GB News presenter and writer Emma Webb. We also have landlord, businessman and activist Adam Brooks and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Emma, are Harry and Meghan massive hypocrites?
You don't say. I mean, just even hearing you read it out there, it's quite extraordinary. Wasn't it somebody who was involved with their Spotify podcast also, or maybe both of them referred to them as being frauds in some way? And maybe Harry should be paying them reparations in Colombia for all of the cocaine that he's used over the years.
Well, there we go. I mean, look, Adam, I do find it, slightly ridiculous that you would miss your own uncle's funeral because of security fears and security concerns, but you are willing to take your wife to one of the murder, drug-fueled kidnap hotspots in the world.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe a word they say. I've never hidden my thoughts on these two. I really can't stand them, if I'm honest. He's as wet and hypocritical as they come, and she's one massive diva. And to lose 18 staff, it just says it all.
Well, you employ people, don't you? That's it's quite a staff retention issue they've got going on.
The Queen had some of her close staff for decades. That says a lot.
Exactly.
And you only have to put in Google her name and you find so many people. I mean, there's a famous maitre d' in New York that said she was demanding and rude. Our own Angela Levin, who we all love on this programme, she described her in not particularly flattering language. And it's a shame because in 2018, I threw a party for their wedding in the pub.
Wow.
The nation was on a buzz. I thought it would help race relations. I thought it was great that he was marrying her, and she's just turned out to be a disaster, and I think she's nearly split up the royal family.
Oh, okay.
I mean, has he got a right, do you think, to not feel safe in Britain?
No.
Before we get to that part, very interesting part, hear what this other businessman said here. Coming into a family. Okay, let's even talk about the staff quitting and talk about the late Queen's staff that she's had for decades. Loyalty. You can have all the money in this world, but you cannot buy loyalty. And that is important. Then coming to the family split. There are just so many things that are going on, and any sane person, when they look at this, they will not even think twice before asking themselves the necessary question. Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the right thing? Because, yeah, there are some places you would want to work that, you know, when you put it in your CV or in your portfolio, you know that people cannot doubt you, or people cannot reject you for a job, because they'll be like, if you can work with this person, then you're good for the job. And we know that for sure. And I'm speaking this from HR perspective, because HR want to look at your timeline and look at your numbers. We're not talking about sales. When we talk about numbers, we're looking at the places you've worked in, how long you've been there, the job you've done, or the work you've done. How competent are you with your job? And the names you present, or the names of the company you present, you know, when they say the best man for the job, people do not lie. But if nobody wants to work with you and all the staff are quitting, everybody cannot be leaving the company all at once now. Even if everybody is having the exact same issue, they cannot leave all at once, or they will not leave all at once. But think about it. Somebody mentioned 18. It may be more. Or what do you think?
Bill, what do you think? I mean, has he got a right, do you think, to not feel safe in Britain?
No, he hasn't. Look, I was going to express some sympathy for Harry, and I'll come on to do that, but I'd forgotten that contrast between Colombia and the UK. As a minister, I went to Colombia 3 times, and I only went with protection officers, because it's one of the most dangerous countries in the world. And to compare safety in the UK to Colombia is just hogwash. However, I think you can have some sympathy for him. I think he's a damaged young man. You know, he lost his mother at a very early age, and that's clearly scarred him. He's estranged from his father and his brother. And speaking as a human being, not a monarchist, I think that's very sad. But, you know, judgment calls all the time. They seem to get wrong. To paraphrase Oscar Wilde, to lose one member of staff from your entourage might be deemed unfortunate. To lose 18 in 6 years is a bit of a disaster. And I think they need to get a grip. They need to hire some decent staff. More importantly, they need to listen to them and bluntly be told what to do, because they're trashing their brand.
The other aspect of this, though, is going to countries like Nigeria for a bit of PR. They're doing PR for, you know, a regime over there that I think, you know, they would probably balk at, really, if it was some kind of Western regime. You know, similar issues in Colombia here. Is this their job now, to do PR for despots?
Well, you took the thought right out of my head, because they want to talk about things like online harms and children's safety. But did they call out Boko Haram and the kidnapping of schoolgirls when they were in Nigeria? I don't think they did. And I think that for young people in both Colombia and Nigeria, online harms are probably the least of their worries. The two of them just seem so out of touch. I mean, even when you see them on the screen, there's something kind of absurd about the two of them. It's almost a kind of level of detachment that is delusional in some way. And the way that they are continually trying to kind of launder their reputation while holding on to that victim mentality, it's gone past the point of being annoying now. And in a way, I almost feel a bit sorry for them, because I just...
No, I don't.
I mean, I just can't fathom what must be going on in their heads. They are so detached from reality.
But I think you've got to recognise when you're in a hole, stop digging. And they are in a hole. They're in a big hole. I think they can recover their reputation, but they've really got to take professional advice and they've got to listen to that advice.
Exactly.
And bluntly do what they're told.
But even on that Nigeria trip, many commentators and many journalists called out about how apparently she was so rude to the teachers on the trip to the school there. So she can't help herself. Doesn't matter what position you put her in, her behaviour, her true self seemingly comes through.
Okay.
So,
I mean, but do you think that they have actually at times been quite unfairly treated by the media about all of this stuff?
Well, I think there's an element that any misstep will be highlighted in a way that it wouldn't be for other members of the royal family. But it's because of what's happened, how it's come about, and the exposure they've had. But they've got to live with that, and they've got to recognise it, and they've got to try to turn it round if they want any future for themselves.
I don't think that's true at all. I mean, if you look at the way that Kate was treated, weighty Katie, she just persevered and behaved with dignity, and then she has become the sweetheart of the nation. So I think if Meghan Markle in particular, but both of them, had behaved differently and hadn't sort of ratted out their own family for their own personal gain and played the victim repeatedly, moaning about how their cottage at the palace is too small and all these things, then they would have been treated differently. And actually, they, in many ways, they've made the situation toxic.
OK, take another example. You and I were sitting in the green room just now and seeing a previous clip of the King now selling £135 aftershave.
He's doing a Meghan Markle.
Now, if they had done that, it would have been banner headlines. But that's the reality. That's where they are. They need to recognise this and they need to do something about it.
I just think, can't people see through shameless virtue signaling quite easily, though? The idea that you would go to a Colombian village that was founded by slaves, and they're there to, talk out about anti-colonialism and all of this stuff. I mean, I just wonder if Harry is just absolutely crippled with white guilt.
Yeah,
Is that
true.
what it is? I mean, he just got to flagellate himself in public until what? Until someone forgives him.
I think he does exactly what she tells him to do. But let's remember, this is a couple that basically intimated to the world that the royal family was racist and terrible people, and then decided to give their kids royal titles. They are hypocrites.
And they refuse to give up the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
And they will use the royal name to the end of their days.
And this is where they are hypocrites. They want their cake and eat it. They want to turn their back on Britain. They want to turn their back on the royal family, but they still want the trappings. They still want security. I think there's still a legal case being taken to try and get the security back.
Branding with the American Riviera Orchard, they're kind of Highgrove-style semi-royal branding and still going on these sort of like pseudo-royal tours, like they're trying to set themselves up as some kind of parallel court.
I just think that the language that he uses about Britain, of being, horrifically scared at the idea of his wife setting foot in this country, talks us down big time on the world stage.
It's rubbish.
But then if you're willing to go and talk up countries like Nigeria and countries like Colombia, I just don't think that makes sense.
He's betrayed us, and he continuously talks about how it's because of things that people have said and tries to therefore silence people from criticising them. I think he's a complete hypocrite.
OK, well, we did reach out to Harry and Meghan's representatives. We were yet to hear back.
But exactly what was said here. The complete hypocrites. And obviously they can't even conduct themselves. And truly, maybe he's stuck with white guilt, and this is the problem. This is where he starts. Victimhood. That sense of white guilt, we've seen it a couple of times. Racism. In this day and age, in this era of this society that we live in, is very cheap. Depending on the location itself, some people will sell it very expensive. Some people will sell it cheap. It depends on the location and it depends on who is selling it. This is the problem. Because actually, the question is, are they listening to advice? And they should be listening to advice. They are the ones complaining, but enjoying everything. Complete hypocrites. Pick and choose. Just pick one and stay there. Let us know. Are you for the royals or are you not for them? Are you with the royals or are you not? Because my question still remains, what is the essence of their tour, visit, trip to Colombia? Because even me, when they came to Nigeria, I asked the exact same question. Why are they here? Are they working rails? Exactly. They're talking about bullying. Clean the scale from your eye first before you remove the scale from somebody's eye. Because these countries that they're talking about, let's say, okay, they are going to these countries for business relationship. Set aside. But with but looking at them, are they working rails? They're working rails. Because the work of the working rails are these going to some of those countries or some of the Commonwealth countries to build relationship, continue with their relationship, or to have mutual relationship that is going to benefit both parties. And that is what common sense will tell you. And if you have somebody who is advising you rightly. So they are not worried about their safety in these other countries. Yeah, people will say, oh, Nigeria is dangerous. First of all, Nigeria is not dangerous. But let's look at it. He is worried about his safety in the UK, where you have your family. That is where you are even recognized as a prince. Regardless, he's still a prince. Even if they take away every title, he's still a prince. That princehood is not taken away. He's still a prince, and he's gonna be recognized as a prince. Does he think if he goes to Kafanchan or any other place, they'll recognize him as a prince? You're a prince in your home, but no, you don't even acknowledge or respect your hometown. Where you're from, you don't respect your family. You're going somewhere. Exactly what role model are you? What are you going to dare to tell them? That's a question people should be asking. But let me know what you think. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I really love you to share that. You can share the useful information I think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next